Hi, I'm Elle Osili-Wood and I'm here to talk Rainbow Six Siege because Belong UK is fielding its very first team in UKIN Division 2. So I've grabbed some of the squad to find out how they're feeling. Brought to you by EPOS from Sennheiser. Well, we're joined by our head coach, Oscar. Oscar, tell me how you ended up at Belong.
So I study at Portsmouth at university, and I entered Arena Clash with my friends to see how well we could do. And eventually, we came in the top 4 in our bracket. And because of COVID, we did the next stage online. This is where I met Dom, and I heard that they were looking for a head coach. They had a lot of applicants, but I decided to put myself forward, and eventually I got picked.
I like that you mentioned there are a lot of applicants, but I won out in the end. So why is Siege your game of choice?
So my game of choice is Siege because it's very, very intense at all times. It's very strategical. It's always different. You always have to adapt, and that is what I love about it.
And why have you decided to coach rather than play? Because obviously, if you enjoy playing it, it's not a case of those who can't do teach.
I think I prefer the strategy side of things and helping others improve. I am comfortable with where I am at playing, and I just like to see other people strive to where they want to be.
And how do you choose your team members? Because it's a big responsibility.
So under Belong, we had a little bit of a restriction, and so we had to choose people from the top 8 teams that competed in Arena Clash. Once they were selected, they went through a little bit of a round robin tournament, and then we selected them on individual skill and who we liked from interviews. But yeah, that's how it went, really.
And what for you makes a good R6 player?
It's someone that can stay level-headed in all situations, inside and out of Siege. And it's also someone who is willing to put a lot of time and dedication into our training sessions and into our scrims.
So how do you plan out those training sessions? What's the kind of career journey that you're trying to take your players on? How do you structure that? What are you aiming to work on?
So it really depends on what I see and what issues arise during the original training sessions, and we kind of plan it from there. It's quite fluid in that way. We don't want to stick to one system. If it's not working, we'll change it depending on where we see those issues.
And are you training differently now that you've kind of taken this step up? Have you kind of mixed things up because you're expecting to come across kind of higher level players than perhaps you've had to tackle before?
Yes and no. I feel that the coaching, it really depends on the player. So it has changed from what I'm used to. I've done a lot more individual things than I'm used to, rather than an overall strategy based style of coaching, but not really much of a change. I'm used to these high level players inside of UKIN. I've met a lot of them before, and I've played against them and with them before as well.
That's what I want to hear. That was a nice, confident answer. You're like, yeah, no worries. So obviously, I don't want you to give too much away because I'm rooting for you, and I'm sure people will be tuning in to check out what you say here. But what are your kind of strengths, and maybe a little tease of some of the things you think you need to work on?
So I don't want to give too much away. We have had quite a short time to prepare all of this in. So I would say it's mainly getting to know each other a little bit better is our only weakness. I feel like everything else is fine. We'll do fine.
More friendship. That was a good answer because it didn't give anything away, and it was very, very wholesome indeed. Well, thank you so much for chatting to me. I am so excited to see how the team does. I know that you've been scrimming and things have been going well, so good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, I've managed to grab one of our UKIN players, Zach. I'm so excited to chat to you. Tell me a little bit about how you ended up on the team.
So I was playing for the Belong Gateshead Tyneside Guardians team in the Rainbow Six Arena Clash, the spring 2020. And that got put on hold due to COVID. We got an email kind of August time for the top 8 teams that were in the tournament at the time. basically invited to take part in trials for the UKIN team. So I hadn't played Siege in a little bit since the tournament, so I was a bit out of practice. Wasn't too happy with my performance the first week, but I just put in a bunch of work throughout the entire next week, and based on that, just made it into the team, which I was quite happy.
I mean, especially if you're saying that you were out of practice and you still made it onto the team, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I was out of practice for a good 5 months. I barely played the game. I just had a ton of other things to do. So it took me about a week or so to find my groove again. But once I got into that, I was fairly happy with my performance.
I mean, I wish I could get back into the groove of Siege after like a week. That's upsettingly impressive. Tell me a little bit more about your kind of play style, your role in Siege.
So my play style for the team, my role, I'm a flex player, so I pick up whatever operators needed at the time. Historically, especially in the Arena Clash, I was more of a fragger role. So I've kind of had to tone that down a little bit and just choose my fights more carefully playing a flex. So it's a bit of a change of pace for me, but I am enjoying it.
Who would be your kind of favourite operator? Who would be your go-to normally?
Ooh, my go-to operators. Probably on attack, it's going to be Zofia and Buck. They're two of my favourite operators in the game at the moment. On defense, I thoroughly enjoy playing Malusi. I think she's a very strong operator. She definitely needs a bit more tweaking to make her balanced, but if I don't love running around and just popping heads with her.
I know, I'm like, shut up about the tweaking. She's so fun. Like, shush.
She definitely needs something, but...
Yeah, she does need a little bit, but I mean... She is haywire right now, and I like that quite a lot. So,
she really is.
Really suits my personal play style. What's it like kind of taking this next step? Because obviously, you know, it's something entirely new for you.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. The amount of training we're doing is unlike anything I've ever had to do in the game before. It's a lot harder work, I'll say that, than pretty much. I've played in Go 4s, I've played in little tournaments and stuff. Nothing quite this big, so it's very different. It's fun, I'll say that, but it's very different.
Does it make you see the game differently? Because I know, not that I play a lot competitively, but I know the difference between when I play a game, even if I play it a lot, kind of just in my free time, as opposed to then when I have to think about it more competitively and less about me just going haywire. Does it make you see the game differently? Do you feel like you're kind of viewing it on different levels than perhaps you did before? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I've done some analyst stuff for some smaller teams before, so that already helped with viewing the game at a different level. So I've been able to kind of bring that in, analyzing my own play style, watching any recordings we've got of matches, scrims that we've played. So I'm able to work out where I've gone wrong and what needs to be adjusted there. It's also helped in scrims being able to kind of read what the enemy's doing and maybe adjust that mid-round or in the next round. So it's definitely helping me look at the game from a different level.
That's so interesting. That must be so helpful. I mean, I would love to have somebody who was an analyst on my team, because I just, after like the madness is over, and I'm just like, what happened here? So I mean, that's so useful that's kind of, you can bring that analytical, I was going to say analytical analysis. What a terrible sentence, but you know, that you can bring that to it. How have you found being on a team? Because lots of times in Arena Clash, teams are people who already perhaps know each other or are kind of aware of each other just because they're local teams. And this is now a mix of people from the top 8. So, how are you all working together? What's it like kind of building the rapport that you need to work together as a team?
Well, so I know quite a few of the people that went for the tryouts for the team already knew each other, and they've been playing for quite a while together. I went in with the Guardians team, so we already knew each other, but in the arena clash, it was me and a friend, and then we knew absolutely nobody else there. So we already kind of had that experience of being kind of thrown in at the deep end with new people. So it wasn't that difficult. Sure, there's a bit of an adjustment period there because, again, it is new people. You've kind of got to work out what each individual is like, what the personality is like, what you maybe can and can't sort of joke about, and how they're going to interact with the way you are as a person. Luckily, the group we've got, the team we've got, they're all absolutely fantastic. All very much sort of along the same lines of thought. So it's been fairly easy. Like, we've got that friendly team banter going now. So I think we've adjusted pretty well, and it's going pretty good.
Oh, well, fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that. And I have to say, I am totally rooting for you. I am so excited to see how you do.
Oh.
So, yeah, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
I'm here with team captain Bilsey. Very excited to chat with you. Obviously, you're one of the people in charge. So tell me a little bit about how you found your way to Belong.
I found my way to Belong very unusually. I started out on PlayStation a good few years ago, at least 2 years ago, just playing casually. One of my friends got me into it. Addicted to Siege instantly. It's been a love of mine ever since I started, and I think I've played pretty much continuously ever since then. Moved to PC just in December, just gone, and again fell in love with PC Siege, and a bit of competitive on PC, and just come over to Edinburgh, playing in Glasgow for Belong, and then it's moved on to Belong UK now.
So how did you find making the switch from console to PC? Because, it's not always an easy transition.
It's not an easy transition. Console is vastly different in how people play, as well as obviously mechanically. I have never, before I moved to PC, I never had played any game on a PC, even when I was younger. So using a mouse and keyboard for me was it was very unusual. It took a lot of getting used to, a lot of effort in T hunts, but I think I've got to a good stage now.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty spectacular that you just transit, that you never played PC before, and now you are competitively playing on PC. In UKIN. That's really, really incredible. You said that you love Siege, so tell me what it is that you love so much about it.
So Siege for me, I think after getting hooked on that first hour of playing, it was the fact that every round is different, and not only that, but every player has an ability to change the round, no matter what they're playing, but no matter what operator. Even if you're Cav, you can make a big difference in the round. And I just love the teamwork aspect as well. I'm a big team player. I've come from team sports outside of Siege as well. So there's lots to love about Siege.
I mean, that kind of explains a little bit about how you've ended up as captain, but tell me why you chose to kind of step up into that role.
Captain, for me, leadership roles is quite a normality. I used to be a National League hockey player, and I was captain there, and I've been a coach. I enjoy it. I love building a team. I love bringing a team together, and looking at people's different strengths and weaknesses and helping them improve. So captaining this team is a great amount of, it has a great amount of enjoyment, and I really like it.
What goes into building a team? What goes into making sure that you're working together cohesively? Because obviously that's something that's just so important in Siege.
What goes into it? I think a lot of it is I think you need to put your kind of egos and your own personal differences aside. You've got to just think about what's best for the team. You've got to think about what you're bringing to the team, what other people are bringing, and putting those two things together to bring out the best overall. And I think also just you've got to enjoy the people you're playing with. You've got to have good fun with them.
What about the people you're playing against? What are your feelings about your opponents? How are you preparing?
My opponents, there's some strong teams. It's exciting. It's fun to see. There's a lot of people I've played against on other teams I've played for. There's a lot of people I've never played against, and I've really looked forward to playing against them in the future. Preparation wise, I think we're a bunch of no names, but I think that's the fun of it. The fun of it is that we're people haven't seen before, but we've got a lot to bring, and we are excited to show people what we can do.
And obviously, you've been scrimming, so don't give anything away. We don't want to reveal any strats here, but how has that been? How are you feeling confidence-wise?
Confidence. We're feeling really confident. I think at first, as any team of ragtag players who've come together, you don't know each other. It's been unusual. The first few scrims are always rough in a new team atmosphere, but you've got to stick together. You got to quickly learn how you can band together and make improvements, and it's been looking strong recently. It's going to be fun.
Oh, well, I'm thrilled to hear that. I'm so excited to see you all in action. Absolutely can't wait. Sounds like the team's got a great captain, so I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's safe to say confidence levels are high. So happy to talk to those guys. It seems like they know what they're doing. I guess we'll have to find out. But if you want to follow along with their progress, make sure you head to belong.gg, or you can find us on Twitter as Belong Esports. But for now, I've been Elle Osili-Wood, and that was the Belong UK Rainbow Six Siege UKIN Division 2 team.